Welcome to the RogueHQ podcast. We are on episode number 4. Hard to believe, already on 4. This is 4, right?
Is it 4?
We talked about Rogue Legacy. We talked about some. Into the Gungeon was last week. I forgot what the second one was, but I know we're on 4. So,
Yeah,
Darkest
4.
Dungeon, that was number 2. That's right.
That was it.
That's right. But anyways, welcome everybody. I got some people in chat here already, so welcome. Astrals, I see you there. And anybody else who's in chat, welcome as well. I am very excited for today, both for the game that we're going to be covering, Heroes of Hammerwatch, as well as Gamebinoplays, who's going to be coming up later, who actually, just before, was talking to you and I, Ontario, and he has some interesting tidbits about something that happens. It sounds like it may have an update that may have nerfed something in the game. I don't know, but I'm intrigued because I don't know what he's talking about with that, so it'll be fun. But anyways, so for those of you who don't know, I'm Skip McLazy, and with me as always is Ontario.
Yep. The yin and yang combination.
Man of many, many words.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess let's just dive into it. So, Heroes of Hammerwatch is... I feel like we're covering a lot of these lately, not really roguelikes, more of like the roguelite. But the reason why I really wanted to cover this and the reason I was excited for it is that it's got that classic dungeon crawler RPG level up a character, but yet every time you die, you start over again. Like, that's actually not a combination we've seen very much and has been actually a blast to play as well. Ontario, I know you've been playing it a fair amount, right?
Yeah, we've been playing a little bit. We had our little play date there with RogueHQ, and we did a run or two. How many runs we ended up doing? But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it's like Enter the Gungeon, just with less rolling and screaming, at least for me.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of less dodge rolling. Actually, Enter the Gungeon, this is like last week's stuff, but now with that Advanced Dungeons and Dragons now being officially out, you don't have to dodge roll between rooms anymore. I don't know if you have not checked it out since that last episode, which I know you have, but the global you listening, open it back up again, go in the settings. There is an option for a faster movement in between battles or something like that. Absolutely makes it so you don't have to roll every single place that you go while you're just walking around. It's like, oh, glorious. But anyway, that's a different game. That's last week. We're done with that already.
Move on.
Move on and be done. Absolutely. So yeah, Heroes of Hammerwatch. It's definitely... One thing I really like about it is really the multiplayer aspect as well. I know it's something that a lot of people who play roguelikes really want to have. Like we talked about it with Gungeon, really wanting something more than just couch co-op. I've talked with people about, even games like I'd love to be kind of multi-managed stuff like FTL, or even like a Rogue Legacy. It'd be fun to have 2 characters in there. Any of the games we've talked about. But the problem with a lot of roguelikes is how much they're really dependent on having absolutely zero lag. And where if you get hit, you're basically done. Heroes of Hammerwatch really doesn't suffer from that, even though it is a bullet hell game, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's something that it does really well. Obviously, it's kind of almost one of a kind in a way. I don't know of any other game that's truly like that. Obviously, games like Gungeon and things like that, timing is everything and that kind of stuff, and they only have local co-op because that's all it probably could support. So having a game like this that's multiplayer, of course, it's something we're gonna love and jump on and play together.
Yeah,
That's what we love to do, and games we love to play are in this genre, and especially being able to play it together is awesome.
right. I'll actually bring up a little bit of gameplay here while we're talking. Just video straight on YouTube that we can play through. This is by PC Gameplay from Will. Let's Play Heroes of Hammerwatch. This is actually from the beta, but it's still relevant gameplay. So basically, if you don't know about it, you start out in this town where you and up to 4 people who are playing together kind of go. The different buildings that you're not really seeing too much of are where you can do your upgrades. You can buy individual items to go through there. What else can you do in there?
It's lots and lots of upgrades, and there's the whole well mechanic, and
Oh yeah, throw coins in the well to get luck, I think. Something like that.
that kind of all that.
Yeah. But then, yeah, you're going through, and this is then your typical dungeon crawl with weird air AI. The weirdest mechanic of this game is one that I've actually really gotten used to, is that until the enemy sees you, they're completely frozen, and you have to trigger their movement. So it's actually a game mechanic you can take advantage of, which is, I see the guys there, I want to stay far enough away from them to not actually trigger their movement to come towards me. I'm not sure it's something that's intended to be, but it's something that certainly, even from the first Hammerwatch game, was there as well.
Yeah, and it's something that we were taking advantage of in our playthrough, or at least screwing up taking advantage of in our playthrough on when we were multi-streaming it a few weeks back.
Yeah,
you walk one step too far, and then you summon 2 swarms of enemies from different areas, and then you're really in deep trouble.
Right, pretty easy way to back, actually. And you're trying to nerf someone around a corner, and you end up activating enemies behind you who then swarm you from the other side. Easy way to completely just wreck yourself. But yeah, you've got... And this is obviously a little bit old. This has been updated. The way that items work has changed a little bit. The map is a little bit different. But you've got these trap rooms, which is what you're seeing right now over here, which, this one involves hitting 3 switches in a specific order. You hit them in the right order, then they will turn back on, allowing you to make it through. If you do it wrong, like he's doing right here, you will then die. It's center, right, left. Come on, dude. Center, right, left. This must be a first-time playthrough thing, because this is taking way too long for them to figure out this puzzle.
Yeah, it's...
Nope, that wasn't it.
You can tell it's a roguelike. It's got more traps.
Yeah, it's true. It is certainly full of traps, and you're going to die. So this is part of the roguelike mechanic. I'm glad someone actually died there and died on the trap. Oh, they both died. That when someone dies, you can go revive them, but it's not like Destiny 2. It's not an infinite revival. It's when if Ontario were to revive me, because that has happened before, our souls are then linked so that if either of us die, we both die. So if you have 4 people, it's a matter of, you don't all want to be linked to the same person if possible. You try and split that up. But it really makes it so that, if you die, you're not completely out, because eventually you're all going to have your souls linked together and trying to keep everyone alive as long as possible.
Yeah, I wish more games did it this way, because it gets hilarious towards the end when you forget who is linked to who. So someone dies and then 2 other people end up dying and there's one guy left running around.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hilarious game mechanic, especially when you're playing obviously with 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
It gets pretty crazy.
It's also when you've got that person who's died and they don't tell the person they're about to revive them and say they've left for a cup of coffee. That's always a fun no, move, and they die before you can
in there
get back up. Yep. But there's different classes. You've got your typical RPG classes, your paladin, mage, your wizard class. Mage and wizard would be the same thing, but warlock's one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
You have a ranger and the thief that you unlock later, which is sort of your not powerful at the beginning, but as per all thieves, tends to level up eventually and become much more powerful, has really high evasion and dodge. Actually, it looks like... No, that's a paladin. It's a warlock. They've got the staff and they don't have any thieves on there. But yeah, they've all got their pluses and minuses, and what you're going through here is you're going through and you're trying to mine for ores. You can see at the top of the screen over on the playthrough over there, they've got this 4, and those ores are what you then use to upgrade when you go back to the town. You don't retain any of the gold or ores you have on your person. You have options to send ores and gold back as you go through. There's little spots that are like, oh, let's send my ore back. Anything that you send back when you die is then available in the town. Stuff that's left on your person is gone, which I also like that mechanic. Like it sort of takes that Rogue Legacy thing, which I never understood in Rogue Legacy how it was justified that all my money would somehow stay with me. This is saying, well, no, if you didn't bother to send it back, it's gone. See you later.
Yeah, this one makes a little bit more sense, obviously, just because you're sending it back, and it also gets taxed, too.
Yes.
So you don't actually get to keep your full amount that you send back.
Government's got to get their hands on something,
Exactly.
Got to pay for the servers.
Take part of the cut.
Yeah. So I highly recommend this. And the thing is, you can do it 2 ways. You can go solo, which I don't recommend at all. It's way too hard to go through solo. No matter what the class is, you always want supporting classes. Or you can open up, obviously, and play with friends in a private server, as it looks like they're doing here. or you can just open up the public server, which can get really interesting because you get some people who just want to blaze through as fast as possible, others who are all about the mining. It makes for a fun sort of way of keeping things fresh, and I've enjoyed the online play time that I've had as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to play it's obviously just with a bunch of buddies. Get 3 other buddies together and try to survive and make your way through it, and that's definitely the funnest I think you can have with this game, and that's obviously what it's kind of built for. It's not really built for the solo player, I'd say, at all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Played it solo a little bit, and it's not that.
It's really not a good solo game. That's the thing. I have a feeling that there may be a good number of reviews from people who played the game who just tried it out solo and have dismissed it. It's definitely it does not shine there by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I'd definitely say multiplayer. There is one other mechanic too to talk about, which is that you're not always necessarily having to crawl through the entire dungeon. They do have sort of a level skip mechanic that after you have passed a certain boss, you can then skip to the next difficulty of dungeon, skip past that boss again. Because what is it, 3 levels there's a boss? Is that what it is? 1, 2, 3,
yep.
I think?
So
you could skip right to level 4 after you've beaten the boss on level 3. However, that skip room is a series of like 8 to 10 generations of waves of enemies that you have to be able to beat that are a harder difficulty in order to do that skip. So
it's nice because you don't have to kind of go through the same thing again, especially if you're leveled for it. But it's definitely difficult.
It's not a free pass. It's not a password. It's not a password like in Mega Man X or something like that. It's a challenge you have to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, enough kind of going through this. Let's actually, real quick, bring in Gamebino. So, little intro on Gamebino. He is a part of, obviously, RogueHQ. I met him with a different server. Great guy. He does a lot of various types of games. You'll find him actually a lot of times playing Overwatch, a game that I sit and watch and still to this day have no idea what's going on. I just kind of sit there mesmerized, trying not to get have an epileptic episode because of everything going on the screen. But he's still a super fun guy. I'm actually very, very excited to have him here. So let me actually real quick flip over to our standby screen, and we'll get him up and going. Actually, I can just flip right to there. There we go. Did that a little bit wrong. That's okay. Whatever. Hey, Gamebino, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Welcome.
This is like being on the couch at Carson. I'm very excited.
Awesome.
I got my glass of wine. I got my box of wine. I got everything we need to have a good discussion. A nice, happy discussion.
Well, it kicks the pants on my LaCroix water I'm drinking, but okay.
That's fine. If anything comes in a box, you know I'm drinking it. So
that's fair.
It's going to be a great start.
Juice box and fermented juice box, either way.
Yeah, either way, it's fine.
Either way.
That peach box, it's fine.
So I teased a little bit earlier. I'm not going to make people wait. We'll go through the basics about you stuff. So you got to tell us what happened. There was something that you told me about.
So with version, I believe it's 79. There's a huge outcry in the community from what I was seeing, and I don't know a lot about Heroes of Hammerwatch. I play Overwatch. There's a big difference. It's the title. But the game looks great. I love it. I played a lot of Diablo 3. I finished up some hardcore runs there, and it was fun to play that game again. So I was looking at this, and I thought it looked great, but all of the reviews were super recent, and they were mixed, and it was, they kept talking about version 79, V79. It's like this big, like the Reaper came in and just axed everything. There was a patch that was released, and it was trying to balance out the characters for multiplayer, so there was more synergy amongst all of the playable characters, making it easier for everybody. You had to do more planning, so it made more sense. And again, I'm coming at this from a layman. As a consumer, I consume. I thought it was very interesting. The fans were it was like a uniform, like, I don't like how balancing the characters means nerfing everybody. It felt like the majority of classes now, it's very, and you mentioned this before, it's hard to play that game solo. Warlock, it's like impossible to play that class in its current state. That's what I've heard.
Because Warlock is the class that literally, if someone has leveled up Warlock, you can all just go get coffee while that character clears the room in a minute and you're all ready to go. So I seen that something had to be done, but
It sounds like it was a very drastic overhaul, and I'm not sure because they just released version 80, and it looks like a lot of people were positive about that one or more receptive to the changes. Like down, I want to get this correct. I have the notes because I wanted to be prepared for this. I didn't want to come on looking like, yeah, so I saw some things.
It was the internet.
So, yeah, the internet said it. It's got to be true. I'm also a huge Brian Regan fan. We'll get into that later.
Oh my gosh, boxing.
Yeah, boxing. I got 2 boxing of donuts. He's one of my favorite stand-up comedians. But so for patch notes for version 80, downscaling is now a lobby option instead of always being enabled. Statues, towers, battlements, and banners can now be affected by soul consumption and burning. Problem with color ID when adding new violet colors, switch names on the new colors. And they increased the maximum class titles by 6. So they're making some changes, but it doesn't feel like they had addressed a lot of what happened with V79. But maybe we can play it sometime and like try it for ourselves. Because I mean, I'm still down to try out the game. I love those kinds of dungeon crawlers and multiplayer kind of games.
Yeah, I definitely haven't played it since that release came out then, because the classes were still way unbalanced last time I played, which is actually a part of a lot of what we were talking about whenever we're going through, because Verant was actually playing with us and he played as Warlock, and it was just, I mean, I was like he was a level 25 Warlock and I was a level 10 Ranger, and it was just hilarious. Like, I'm working really hard to kill this one guy, he comes in and wipes the whole room. It's like, dude, I almost got that one guy.
Yeah, it was still super unbalanced at that time. It had to be.
Yeah, I think there's certain, like, whenever something changes, when it's like not easy, but it's like there's fun in playing a certain class. Like World of Warcraft, you'd have like a character I'm trying to get the right words for it. Sorry, let me just take another sip of confidence.
Go for it. Find your muse.
Your character traits in each patch, like they would try to like sort of either buff or try to keep Paladin worked or reworked or usable, because certain classes always fell between, well, you're a tank, but you're not really a good tank. You're not able to keep taunts. You're also a healer, but you can't really heal on the side. So you have like this weird mishmash of like balancing a character and giving it its own like personality, its own perspective. So like you can approach dealing in a combat situation in whatever way you want to. Mm-hmm. So in this case, if it gives more flexibility to how the game is played, then it's great. But then again, if you reduce it so it's like it's an absolute grind and it's brutal to play through, it's so much harder to deal with it.
Yeah. Got my son coming in. Come over, say hi. Come over, say hi. So I got my son here.
Sweet.
This is Mini McLazy. This is no doubt. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I'm doing a talk stream right now.
What's up, bro? How's it going?
He can't really hear you. He said, how's it going?
Oh, okay.
Good. All right.
Awesome.
Say goodbye.
Yeah,
I'm doing talk stream, buddy, okay? I'll let you know when it's over. Yep.
But what's the next one you're gonna do?
I don't know. I don't know what the next one is. I'll let you know when I'm done.
I want to be in that.
I know you do. I know you do. Let me finish the talk stream though. He's adorable. So that's no doubt. He's occasionally watching and lurking on people's streams, but not quite chatting yet, which is good.
So do you have any ways of like trying to prevent as much of what he's?
Yeah, I keep in track of that. Hey, buddy, I can't really right now. Okay.
Yeah, I only seen like one stream that was live. Like the first that I showed you, that was the first one.
I know, buddy. I know. Thanks.
You just let him.
We'll talk later. I know. He needs to take over this chair. Is what needs to happen.
You handle all the technical stuff, and I think if your son does the hosting, that'd be amazing.
Oh my!
That'd be so great.
I wouldn't ever have to worry about a script, but we would have a full hour of content. That's the thing. Like, I don't know what we're talking about,
absolutely.
but
well, that's the thing though. It's like it depends on how you want to like drive the show, right? Like for a kid to be able to host it and like everyone else kind of like plays off of that. It's like you can have a really great stream.
You really could. It would be funny. Yeah. You know, if we're ever wanting just to try something different, why don't we could try it? Why not?
You should just not explain it. Just be like, hey, we're going live.
Yeah.
It's another podcast.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just another video vodcast.
What? There's no problem here. There's no problem here. Oh, funny. So I don't know if that you got interrupted. I think you did. I don't.
No, please. It's more like if developers like so. I think if you make a decision to like nerf a game for a specific reason and it makes the game more fun, then that's great. But sometimes it's like fan backlash. I always approach it with like it depends on how they deal with it, right? Like if they revert some of those changes or they work to make the roles that are there now more enjoyable to play in like multiplayer, then that's great. Then it'd be a success. But
Right. Yeah, I'll have to give it a go and report back, and I'm sure RogueHQ will probably have another play session at some point and see firsthand for ourselves. Cool. All right, so that was a really long. Now we'll get to the stuff we normally talk about when we bring someone in Gamebino. So, if you guys don't follow him, !Gamebinoplays will bring up the shout out to his channel. Give him a follow. But let me know. First question I got to know. I always got to ask. What got you into streaming, and what keeps you coming back? What is it about streaming for you?
So I'm incredibly self-conscious, and I always feel, and this is like, I probably heard this from a bunch of other people, but like I genuinely feel happier when I'm not being myself. Happier playing roles. I've always do voices. I try to do impersonations, and I got into doing some voice work on the side. I really loved it. I did a lot of theater when I was a kid. Got beat up a lot. That doesn't matter. The important part is like I really always loved making people laugh, and it was funny, and that was like my in for a lot of things, you know. So getting into streaming, I had been so burned out on some of my other work, and I wanted to play more video games, and I saw it as a really great outlet. Not like a financial thing, because like I mean the logistics of being a professional full-time streamer is incredibly difficult. And it's like, it's not even like it was easier to get into it 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago, there wasn't even like an OBS setup. Like there was no guide to stream your videos. You had to be like a programmer or coder or somebody that was like in on it to get it set up and then build like a platform for yourself. It was really like, it's a business because you're a broadcaster. So like the fact that it's become a lot easier of an app, like technically speaking, to like understand like the tech that goes into it, and learning myself like how to do broadcasting and setting up mics and everything and hosting a show, it's really awesome. And the fact I get to improv like for 2 or 3 hours a night's really great.
Cool.
And something I can own too, which is like the most important part.
Yeah, and you definitely do own that. That's actually what I enjoyed sitting in your streams, is it was always hilarious. Well, that, and you mentioned that you like Mystery Science Theater, so for me you got the instant follow right there.
Shuck. I do love some old MS. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is one of my all-time favorites. All of the old like 50s, like, I don't want to say propaganda videos, but I mean like the 50s, like they'd show this is how boys and girls date, and it's like, yes. But Timmy forgot one important thing: to pay homage to Gorto, and it's brilliant. I love that.
The shorts were the best for sure. Anyway, completely off topic, but yeah, anyway, yeah. Absolutely, thanks. So I mean, obviously. I mean, how long have you been streaming? I mean, were you part of that group back 4 years ago, or is it a relatively recent thing for you?
No, this has been very recent. I started doing YouTube stuff about, I want to say I started in like the summertime. So I was doing YouTube for a little bit. I was doing some Let's Plays. My first one was Outlast 2, and I played through it, and my viewership, oh my God. It was the single digits. We went up to the double, baby. It was great.
Nice.
It's a market that is just ripe for oversaturation.
Oh, yeah.
It's excellent. That wasn't really pulling in the viewers that I was like hoping to, and like I really wasn't feeling it because I also had to do all my own editing, and I've done film editing in college, and it was just getting exhausting. I could set up a lot of that stuff to be automatic, but it was just like it was more trouble than it was starting to be worth. So I got into Twitch in like around January, where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start my own streaming on Twitch because it's easier. I save all the old VODs, I can clip it. It's easier for me to promote clips of a channel, and it's also like a little bit more open forum. So like if I want to play a game and I think of something on the fly, I don't have to worry about editing, and I can just go for it.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I've experimented like trying to do some stuff, like some Let's Play stuff, and to throw it onto YouTube, and the laziness factor of having to edit at all. Like I'm going, I don't want to have to watch this 7 more times. I've already been there once. There's definitely the laziness factor for me as a real contributor to being a live versus YouTube.
Oh God, yeah. No,
that's the great thing about Twitch. You just hit a button and you're done.
Right.
Go for it.
there are goals. There are good goals in mind when you're editing, because at least you're able to sort of control what you want. Like if there's a joke that you want to land, sometimes it doesn't work when you improv it.
That's true.
But like on a radio format, like you button and you can play like a sound clip and like, or can riff on a situation or like something in the news, and it's like, you know, you can make a bit out of it, like doing like movie quotes, but you name them for like I don't know, whatever the subject of the day is, right? Like renaming Goodfellas to whatever, and you can just like riff on it a little bit.
Right.
I took a lot of my inspiration from like stand-up comedy, so it's like a lot of like the observational stuff or like storytelling. I don't think I'm nearly as good as any of those guys. Like even like the open micers, I'm terrible. I'm just doing this for the fun of it.
It's a hard skill for sure. It's a hard skill. Yeah, one that I definitely appreciate.
It's equally difficult across the board too, like improv, stand-up, acting, like all.
Hey buddy.
He really wants to host a stream.
Bring him on.
It's gonna happen one day.
Yes.
I can't wait. Get hosted by
the question. The question was,
Jr.
do these pants smell clean?
My pants do not smell clean. I can only take your word that his pants smell clean.
I honestly don't know. But they're better than running around in your underwear, you know. So,
I mean, that's what I do on stream all the time anyway.
Fair.
You only see this part of me.
Yeah.
You don't know. I'm just
You
covered
don't
in
have to wear
blood.
pants on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green underwear with a green screen
Blue.
works wonders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been, I'm guessing, playing more than just for stream. So was there a favorite video game that you had growing up as a kid? Overwatch wasn't really around when you were 6.
What are you kidding me? I'm like 8 years old.
No, that's fair.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Let's see. One of my favorite games. I have a ton that I played. Legend of Legaia was like a game that I played religiously on PlayStation. That was like one of the first RPGs I played on disc. I skipped over Final Fantasy VII and played that. It's a fighting game, but you pick out like the button combos, and then your character will actually hit everything. So
Gotcha.
It's like right down, and if you do the correct combo, it actually plays like a super move. So you have to kind of memorize different combos and like use them in interesting ways to get enough damage to kind of beat different opponents. I love that game. I feel like it's not as beholden as a lot of other RPGs at the time. But it's one of those ones that I really enjoyed. But I mean, if we're talking about like games that I've absolutely loved, Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64. I mean, like the first game I really played was Super Mario World.
Yeah.
I love that because the sound effect of when you get the first one up in World 1, Level 2, and you knock all the Koopa shells and the Goombas out, and there's that sound, that was like, oh my god. And then I spent 8 hours playing through the game. It was pretty great.
It's one that I actually go back to relatively. I think I just played it last week. It's a fun game to turn on and play. So I get that.
Mario games are like always pretty approachable. Like you pick them up, play them for a little bit, even if you're not like a huge Nintendo fan. Like the controls are always really solid.
Right.
I always enjoyed going back.
Yeah.
Going back. I'm getting old. 32 with a beard and a wrinkled face
and a box of wine.
A box of wine. I'm basically every Twitch soccer mom. That's how I should brand my. Just like you were talking about earlier, I just need my minivan and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. You just replace that background with just a Honda Odyssey picture or something.
Yeah, picture of a Honda Odyssey.
That's great. I need to get that. I have a face mask poster because I do a lot of like face mask stuff and dating sims, so it's like that would totally fit in.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, if you guys have any questions for Gamebino in the chat, definitely throw them in. We'll get to them a little bit later. So if you have any questions,
I got one last question.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Talk about Overwatch a little bit.
Oh sure.
Who is your main, if you have one?
Sure, I mean Reinhardt and Roadhog.
Gotcha.
Reinhardt always is a reliable, dependable tank. He's good on offense. A well-placed charge can disrupt a team. I'm like low gold status. I'm not that fucking great, but I play with my friends who are out on the East Coast, so we do like a Hands Across America kind of thing. And I get more enjoyment from doing that on like QPs or comp play than like anything else. It's just there's nothing more satisfying than getting a right Earth Shatter onto a team after their shield has been disabled by like a Sombra ult. Oh, beautiful. But Roadhog is also satisfying just because that hook is like so fucking sweet to just land it on Ilios or like Nepal and just like drag people down. His sustain is so good, like you don't really need a healer for him. A bad Roadhog though is really shitty, and I've had a lot of bad Roadhog games, so it's a toss up. I mean, what do you main, Ontario?
I didn't play competitively. I just played with buddies, and I just played almost everything. I remember who I put a lot of time in, like Reaper and some of the healers like Zenyatta and Lucio are kind of my main three, I'd say.
A lot of people start off with a Zenyatta, and I'm not sure why. I mean, his character design is fantastic, but like, there's something.
Zenyatta's tough.
He is a high skill cap hero because you need to call out your Discord orbs and have good communication with your team. He's also really squishy. His hitbox is fucking massive. It's like the size of my head. It's big. Like you could just shoot it one shot and he's just out. It's gone. But I don't know. He's like an incredibly valuable healer though. Like if you play him well, like Roadhog, you have a pretty good role. But yeah, like a good Reaper can just wreck through anybody though. It's really shitty.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's chat about some things in the news. I know there was a couple of things that had come up this week that were particularly interesting to me. I sent them over to you guys, so you're obviously not caught off guard about that. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is something that I think is really cool, is the progress that's being made recently to make it so that people with disabilities are able to actually play video games. I think it's something that we as gamers, I don't know if it's what we take for granted, but it's something that I never really thought about much, is that it's difficult for someone to hold a controller if, say, they've got something like muscular dystrophy, or they've got limited control with their arms, or don't have the fine motor skills. But something as simple as opening a box to get at a controller, you think a typical product packaging would be just virtually impossible. The Xbox adaptive controller that came out, which is specifically meant to be for people who have these type of issues with actually working with controllers, actually comes out with a really nice way to open it. Like it's like ribbons and pull tabs and giant things to hold on to. I actually liked the Verge article is Microsoft Xbox adaptive controller. Sorry, I need to pull it up again. Microsoft's Xbox adaptive controller has packaging that gamers with disabilities can open without their teeth. I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's insensitive or not, but yeah, I get the concept of it, what you're going after. And I did some looking up. So there's a lot of things that are coming up right now. Everything from, I think the most interesting one was a butt controller that sensed the way that people move back and forth. I think it's just a prototype, but that's coming out.
Maybe using a scale. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
The ass wiggle is like a fantastic ability to like summon healing, or like drop an ult is just like clench and unclench your buttocks.
I mean, there's got to be, I mean, back to in one of the articles that I sent over as well. In there was, I mean, Nintendo actually for the NES actually had a adaptive controller that was a rare item. You had a special order from them, which was basically like a straw. You would blow into the straw for A, suck air for a B, and then move up, down, left, right with your head, which it wouldn't give you full gameplay functionality for, let's say, you want to turbo boost and jump, but at the same time, hey, it's an attempt. And I definitely like how far things have come with that. I don't. Have you guys seen anything else like that? I mean, I wish there was more of stuff like this, because I really feel for people who want to be able to play video games and be part of the gaming community, but just can't.
It's actually kind of interesting that Nintendo that far back were creating peripherals and controllers that were actually able to be used by people who couldn't use their hands. It's pretty. I didn't even know that was a thing that they did. I know they did a lot of other like peripherals for like the Power Glove and shit that just didn't work. But that's at least an attempt. That's pretty awesome, even dating that far back. So that's got to be like what, 1985.
I mean, that's
like
had around there. I don't know when that controller came out, but it would have been late 80s, while the NAS was still active.
And coming from a guy who drinks things out of a box, I think making a box easier to open for anybody is pretty great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The only thing I would hope for is that like less plastic is used, because that's just going into the ocean. That's the only thing. It's like more recyclable materials. Like if you're getting cardboard, a lot of that could just be reused, and like how you want to package that, like having it be like more economic and just as sustainable as you can make it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it looks like they're going the direction of saying, you know what? Yes, we understand that this is going to make it easier to steal. Which, if you look at the way packaging went 10 years ago and it went ultra difficult to open, it was because they were trying to make it harder for people to get into in the store and steal.
Sure.
So they're almost saying, yep, we're going to be taking a hit on this from theft. Like, we're going to have problems with people stealing stuff off the shelves if this is going to be located on the shelf somewhere in a retail establishment. But that we're okay with that. I mean, part of that's mitigated by the fact that probably the majority of these sales are going to be online and not in stores anymore. But I do appreciate that they're saying, nuts to this. It's going to be easier to steal, but we need to think about the people who are going to be buying it.
Yeah, I really don't see these coming out in a retail environment pretty much at all. It's probably going to be more of like a special order thing, like you're saying. And even still, coming from background in retail, people will steal anything. They will.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter if it's tightly packaged or not packaged at all.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, how much of a loss is it Microsoft really? I mean, they're a giant corporation. They can afford to take like a hit, like 12 things are like lifted from a store. It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
No. It's more of the fact that it's not Microsoft in general, but it's the individual manager of the product who's tasked with making sure his stuff isn't able to be stolen, where they have to base. So it's down lower level than if you think about Microsoft as a total, the way that most of these manufacturers would work. That the manager of that project is saying, I'm going to take a hit for it, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's still pretty ballsy of them to do that. And if they're like doing it through with like a third party, that's pretty thumbs up to them. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Getting on kind of back to more normal gaming news. This one's actually about Rogue Legacy. And speaking of updates coming out, there's Rogue Legacy we covered in our very first vodcast, which, by the way, we should have some type of competition. We need to name this thing. I can't keep calling it the RogueHQ pod kind of vodcast. It needs a name. That's totally beside the point.
We can make a point after all. We can just like spitball some of them, like Game Fellas. I don't know. Give me some 80s movies. I'll show you how dated I am.
There we go. Get
some Caddyshack references.
Yeah. But Rogue Legacy has not been updated in 4 or 5 years. Article came out 4 years. Yeah.
Not even an update. Not even a version 79.
No, it's been a stable game that had kind of seen its day. Developers had kind of moved on to other things, and they finally released an update. Apparently, there was a thread of someone who said, how come I can't do mouse bindings in the games for using my controller so I can use my mouse?
On a platformer.
It's a platformer. Now, there are other platformers where a mouse control makes sense. Like Dungreed, the mouse makes sense because the direction you're moving can be different from the direction you're swinging your sword. And the way you dash is based upon where your cursor is on the screen. So mouse bindings make sense for that. Rogue Legacy, when you dash, it's straight left or right. When you swing your sword, it's in the direction that you're moving. So having a mouse binding never made any sense. That didn't stop over 2,000 comments from going onto that thread saying, how lazy are you game devs?
I guarantee you 18,999 just trolling.
Oh,
I guarantee you. Because try playing Hollow Knight. Try playing Psychonauts with a keyboard and mouse. Try playing any kind of platformer with that sort of function. I can't.
No.
I got it because I wasn't going to be able to beat Hollow Knight. Or Dark Souls. Like, I tried playing Dark Souls on that. It's easier to play with the fucking steering wheel. And somebody did that.
Oh, did they play Dark Souls with a steering wheel?
Yeah, that was a big stream that happened. They it was a little like steering wheel peripheral, and they were able to beat all of Dark Souls. They're just like fucking taking it out and spearing it around.
Gosh, I have to look this up.
Something like that happened with a Destiny raid too, where they took the Rock Band drums,
shit,
hooked them up to where they could have movement, and then did a raid. It's solo raid, by the way, as well.
Oh wow!
It's like Neckbeard Death Camp live on Twitch. It's just like performing like the nastiest death metal and raiding bosses. I love it.
That's amazing.
But like to my point, it's like I guess like the other game that you mentioned is designed for the mouse peripheral. Like a lot of games aren't, because everybody's going to be using like.
Exactly, and Rogue Legacy is like very much it was designed to it was out on Steam, but it was designed as more of a console indie game, and so it's made for controllers. But needless to say, the new update now, you can bind your mouse to attack, dash, if you like. It's still the movement's going to do nothing, but now you can have your left hand on the mouse if you really want to. And I don't know, maybe use foot pedals for other things. I don't know.
Did the CEO of the company who like published it or made it, did he be like, all right, I'm just gonna do this? Because like that doesn't sound like a team bit. Like this is 4 years, right?
Yeah, it sounds like Cellar Door Games. So after they had done, what was it, Full Metal Furies,
Which I love that game, by the way.
Yeah, so
I
it's
love Full Metal Furies.
So it's the same company, same developer, I should say. And so it just sounds like he just had some time to do he did a couple of other things that apparently needed to be fixed, which means probably the speedrunning glitches are now gone. But which is unfortunate. But it just was like, okay. And yeah, by the way, it's not a lot of code to add mouse buttons in, but yeah, he did it.
Seemed like he almost did it as more of a joke based on that whole thread.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It was just more of a, here you go.
Sure.
That's the vibe that I got. It's like, here, this is just for being a complete piece of shit. Like, take it. Like, a pittance, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, I mean, if you had the power to do something like that, like, would you, as sort of like a, not like a muscle move, but just to be like, here you go.
Why not?
I mean, it is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because the first response was, yeah, it took you long enough. Which is just fucking perfect.
Exactly.
The exact response I would expect from the internet is just an immediate, like, sarcasm, eye roll, and then I'm going to play this game for 2 hours.
Right. I mean, yeah. Part of it's also, I mean, when you release an update like that, it's going to get in the news, which probably get more people to go play it. I mean, it's a game that still is getting downloads, still earning them not as much revenue as they used to get, but it still earns them revenue. So, hey, sure, why not? If I'm a developer if I was Cellar Door Games, I'd want to milk my old titles as much as possible too. So, it doesn't take you that long to do. Sure, milk it.
Well, it's also like a good way to get a back catalog going. Like I said, love Full Metal Furies. I love the work, the art, and like all the games that they make. So like if it keeps the developers' doors open, I say fucking absolutely. Excuse me, I wasn't supposed to say the F word. I'm trying to behave.
Oh, it's all good. We don't.
I'm trying to be good on the show. I can't do it.
I'll edit you out later. I'll just put a block box over
you. Can you
you.
do it in post? Just like
black censor bar.
Yeah, play a song, and that should just mute everything in the.
In fact, I'll have the stream on mute. You'll see our lips moving, and we'll just be listening to Pink Floyd or something like that. I mean,
that'd be fantastic. But yeah, like I'm all in favor for devs to make money however they can, because especially devs that put out really good work.
I'm 100% in favor of supporting devs who do good work. I like to wait till games are on sale on Steam to buy a game the first time. But when I find a game I like, I'll go buy like 4 versions of the game at full price and give them away to friends, because it's like I really love a really well, especially if it's an indie developer who put a lot of original thought into it, really made a game unique, which was for me actually the most recent one I had for that was Tangle Deep, which came out in February. Very unique take on a roguelike, turn-based, but doesn't feel turn-based. Absolutely loved it. I bought it on sale, and then I think I did like 4 giveaway streams with the thing. Just because I want to be able to keep that developer going. Like, please make more stuff, because this was amazing.
Oh yeah, like The Long Dark from Hitterland Games is another game that like was on sale for like $4, and it's a great survival horror game in the wilderness of Canada, and they've been expanding their studio, so more people are buying the game, and they're always putting out updates for it. So if you're really doing that, that's great, because I feel like there's always more that I could do to just sing praises of the game instead of just streaming it and being like, hey, buy this game. It's like like gifting it to other people who are going to enjoy it, or maybe tell other people is like even better.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's awesome.
Streaming it in and of itself and getting people to like it that way. Also, I mean, that helps out developers as well a lot, especially indie developers who have to figure out, they're never going to have the viewership of, Fortnite and whatever else, HOTS and League of Legends. But
it would be interesting to see like the turnover rate for that, because I never feel like that if a million people see this video, it's like, I don't know. I'd have to actually. I'd have to. That's something I would love to see. Like if there's actual statistical data that shows if more people watch it on like YouTube or watch it on Twitch, there's actually a return in sales. Like that's.
And I'm sure there definitely is, but it's not probably as big as you might think.
Yeah, and that's the part that I'm like, that's why I would like to see it as more like if you really like the developers, like what more could you do if you really wanted to see them succeed or help them out? Like it's not like I don't think it's a 1-to-1, but I would be interested to see what that would be.
Right. Yeah. It'd be something very interesting as well.
I'm not privy to data though, so that's the unfortunate part.
I don't have. Someone's got to be collecting that somewhere.
I don't have stats or figures. I just stream dating sims. That's all I do.
Fair enough.
I can't get real girlfriends. I just got my computer and my waifus. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, I mean, speaking of which, I've got my Greyhound down here who's just won't leave me alone. She wants all my kids, my animal and my human kids, want my attention right now.
You know, if the dog is the host and you get to co-host with your kid, your viewer count will explode. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the Greyhound will be laying down sleeping the entire time. But yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
You also do like all the money that you collect goes to like charities for like greyhounds. Is that correct? I don't want to misrepresent you.
No, it's so right now the way it's set up is that there's a charity of the month with RogueHQ every month, and how I have it right now is that bits going to my stream directly go to that, and that's actually what you see down below that total. The charity goal for this month, we're at 3657. I'm going to be changing that up a little bit soon about how the donations themselves actually work, but we're planning on doing. Thanks for this wonderful segue there, Gambino. We're planning on doing some more events, which will be focused on charity, which will be more of like hopefully higher impact, a little bit more people involved, to hopefully drive a little bit more awareness towards the charities that we're doing. One of which has been some Greyhound adoption centers in the past. Right now, it's for ending homelessness, so another good cause.
Yes,
absolutely. Can't argue with that. People shouldn't have houses. No, let them live on the streets.
You know, a box is fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a roof, box, same difference. And so
What's
yeah,
next? Healthcare for everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway,
side note. But yeah, we'll be having more events in RogueHQ to hopefully get a little bit more kind of visibility towards the different charities and everything else.
I know we want to do more with the RogueHQ channel itself too, and more streams off that, and just doing more than just the podcast.
You should get in touch with my agent. I'd be happy to look. My agent messaged me on Discord.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I follow you.
We can talk about details and everything. I'd love to help out. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So last bit of news. I know we're over our normal hour, but that's okay. I'm having fun. I want to keep talking.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I can go longer.
Okay. So the last piece of news that I seen this last week, which I thought was really kind of interesting, and my take on the article itself is different from my take on the topic. The topic being that there seems to be a lot more technologies which are coming out now that actually you talked about before for the small streamers, helping people who don't have the budget, don't have the technical know-how to actually get going and look really highly professional, whether that be helping tips and ways to get your streams up, your overlays set up, and down to technologies. So an article that I found is Elgato, which they've got like the capture cards.
Yeah.
They actually got bought out by somebody who bought.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, who was it that acquired Elgato? I think it was like a gaming. I'll have to look it up. I'll post it later. But they got purchased by somebody, which makes them part of a bigger gaming company nowadays, which you could actually probably look at. Corsair, that's right. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty big purchase. Because Elgato stuff is like used by everybody for the most part. It's
absolutely.
a pretty recognizable brand name.
Which now we just want to have capture cards built into our chairs. So, but anyway,
you can control by clenching your ass.
There you go. Absolutely, all full circle here.
Turn this off.
It just goes to be right back when it knows you need a break.
Oh yeah, it sends your butt signal. It stops the game for you. It's like, oh, fine, hang on.
Yeah, all right.
I paid $400. I'm not covering this, and well,
there you go.
I'll leave it to your imagination.
But so they've got their Stream Deck, which you guys are familiar with the Stream Deck, right? It's like buttons that instead of controlling your overlay with clicks of the mouse within OBS or XSplit, you can utilize the Stream Deck to have customizable buttons to mute, to play sound effects, to switch scenes, etc. People who have it absolutely love it. The main one's got like 16 fully programmizable. Programmizable. I know it's the wrong word, but I'm sticking with it.
Programmizable.
Yep.
I haven't been drinking. I have an excuse.
Yeah, I don't. They have, and that one's like $150. They've got one
150 for the
140,
big one.
150, and then they have a
40.
small one they just released for $100, which is 6 buttons. Which I go, hey, it's great that you've released a mini version for slightly less, for significantly less functionality.
At that
Not
point,
that
why
much
not
of a.
I'm sorry. At that point, why not just use your number key for your keyboard?
Yeah, six
I mean,
buttons isn't a lot. That's the thing. Like, you're going to instantly go, okay, I can mute, I can switch to 2 scenes, I can do a sound. Like, you start to run out really quick, and then you're like,
You sent me the article and I haven't seen it yet, and I was like, oh, cool, a smaller Stream Deck. What has it got, like, 8 buttons? What does the main one have? A 16, so like maybe 8 buttons, something like.
yeah, 6.
Like 6 for $50 less. That doesn't really seem like it's worth it.
I was going, if it's like $40, yeah, it's a good entry level. See if you like it, But for 100, you're dropping $100, 100 clams on 6 buttons. I don't know.
I think like it's more like it's just better off. You're better off using your keyboard and trying to get like hotkeys, like learning League of Legends for the first time. Like you just need to have a good memory.
Mm-hmm.
I know because like I looked at it when I first started streaming because I want to play audio clips. I want to do movie quotes. I want to do like zany catchphrases that I think of. It's just like the chill factor is unbelievable. But like it's just easier to remember. Okay, the 4 button is the fart noise. The 5 number is the go live. So I just got to make sure I.
And if you really want to, you go on get little pieces of paper. You print it out on Word. You tape it on top of the keys. I have done this before. It works just fine.
I did that too, but they all fell off my old keyboard, so it was just a fucking mess. So I understand, like, if you want to get into it, you feel like you need a good peripheral for what to be like professional. But like, really, it's either having a good memory or like, there's got to be like number keys that you can replace from your keyboard and place in that have like a little drawing of what you want.
I've actually seen that. There actually is a company.
Like 3 cents a pop, which would be like a lot cheaper than going the whole.
They're not 3 cents a pop. These were like custom made ones, and they were like $10 a key. And I'm going,
damn.
Okay, now we're right back to the same problem we had before.
Yeah, it's really. I guess it's like packaging all of plastic parts. I mean, it's a little trickier. Just got to remember your memory. Or
just here, put a little cheat sheet up there that's 1. Then you
I gotta use paper, but that's bad for the environment. I gotta use my sketchbook that I'm using to.
Then prop your phone up with a little like written on there, like.
See, that makes sense. Like using your phone, like if you're gonna check your feed and do retweets at the same time, you have something there. You could put up your notifications. You have like a little something there that you can keep up.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like I feel like that's like a more. Just like a viable option. Like don't like if I can give advice to people who are trying to get into like any sort of like either broadcasting or streaming or playing video games or even like an art background, don't just rush to spend money. Like think of the cheapest way to learn the skill set and then build from there.
Yeah, that's the great thing about streaming right now is if you have PS4, if you have an Xbox One, you can stream right from that and get started there. Of course, you can have OBS, can have alerts, things like that, but it's a great way to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And once you start and you get hooked, then you can build a PC and then that stuff if you don't already have one. And then you can get crazy with overlays and OBS and alerts.
That was what one of my friends did when he started streaming. And he's gone on. He's like a really, not like a biggie streamer, but he's like very successful and does charities, and it was all from him, this hobby and playing off of like Xbox and PlayStation when he would come home from work, and that made him really happy. So it's finding like that and carving out that niche that you want for yourself first, and then you can worry about everything else later. Like the rushing into that's really like I think it trips people up. So that's why like don't rush to spend the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Train your brain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not my deal. I'm not a smart man.
You don't have to be. You just have to look the part.
I don't think I'm a looker, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
But anyway, it's been a blast. I think I know we are a little bit over the time. I don't want to make this episode way too long, but Gamebino, I do want to say thank you so much for coming and being our feature streamer. I've had a blast talking with you. And looks like we got Yeagid. Oh, hey, Yeagid, you've hopped into the chat. So anyone else who's there, if you're not a part of RogueHQ, definitely check out that roguehq.xyz. You can see past episodes. You can also see the link to our Discord community that you can hop into. We also have a merchandise site where you can get great merch like this sweatshirts.
It's like the Kame signal on Goku. It's
Yeah.
the same. This guy is a known gangster.
We got a tote bag with our wonderful RogueHQ logo on it. Lots of fun stuff. So definitely check that out. And we will see you guys all next time. What have we got, Ontario? Next time we are talking to...
That Nintendo robot.
That's right, that Nintendo robot we're talking to. Here's my co-host showing up here again to say goodbye to everybody. That Nintendo robot, we're talking to him. We're talking Slay the Spire next time as well, so that should be a super fun time talking to him. But anyways, I will talk to you guys all later, and thanks for stopping by. Have a good night. Bye.
Adios. Take care.
Another